So I purchased this 18-degree Callaway utility iron. I did it so I could use it as a driving iron, just in case my driver wasn't working out for me. But it came with a Project X 6.0 shaft, which is probably too stiff for me. It doesn't work out as well as I want it to. So I went ahead and purchased a True Temper R300 2-iron length shaft to replace it with. And it ended up being like 14 or 15 bucks for just the shaft itself. You do have to buy the ferrule, which I think was a couple bucks, and then you have to buy the actual the glue itself or the epoxy so you can re-epoxy the club head in. I did have a few tools laying around that allowed me to do this, so if you don't have the tools laying around, you'll have to buy them as well. So it kind of ruins the fun out of actually doing this yourself unless you're going to do multiple ones. But some of these tools are good to have around anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the tools that you'll need to start this project. So you have the shaft itself. You need the shaft that you're going to replace it with. You got a little, this is a nylon brush. A wire brush wouldn't be too bad either. That way you can clean out the actual end of the golf club or the iron before you actually put the new shaft in. You'll need a ferrule. It's a kind of a presentation on top of the actual iron itself to make it look nice. Now, I will say that you'll need to find out if you have a .355 tip or a .370. It depends on the actual golf club. You can probably Google it. Most tips are 3.55, or I'm sorry, .355, but definitely Google that yourself. I have a razor blade so I can mix some of this up with and put it in the actual club head. And then I have some epoxy that is specific for doing up clubs. And then I also have welding gloves. And the reason why I have welding gloves is because the way we're going to take this old club head off is we're going to heat it up with a heat gun. I forgot to mention, you do need a heat gun. A hairdryer will not work, but a heat gun will. Then I have some cardboard so I can mix up the epoxy. So let's go ahead and get started here. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to take the heat gun. Probably start off in high, but you want to move it around on the actual the hosel here, kind of, and spin it around a little bit, and make sure you get this super hot. It doesn't have to be red hot, but super hot. I do it for about 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, and then take your glove, because this will be really hot, and then that way you can see if you can twist this on here or twist it off, and it'll pull right off. It should come right off fairly easily. I do not recommend doing this with graphite shafts, so if you're going to use this on a graphite shaft, I recommend you have a professional do it. So essentially what you're doing is you're breaking up the epoxy that's in there and allowing it to dislodge from the actual shaft itself. I actually got it working here. Switch back and forth. Whew! It took a lot of work. So this one actually took a lot of time. So about 7 minutes of it. And this is going to be super hot, so be careful where you put this. So is the tip of this. So after you get it cleaned out with the wire brush, or I recommend a wire brush because actually it works out a lot better. If I get it all cleaned out, I do recommend using some acetone. It does clean up any residue that's in there. Go ahead and use some Q-tips to help you out on that. That was still kind of hot actually. Be very careful with the head. Make sure you clean it all out. The cleaner it is, the easier it is to get the epoxy to seal up real well. Next, I'm going to go ahead and put the club head on the shaft. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a mark where it is. So that way I can actually rough up the part of the shaft that we're going to actually put in here. So it adheres better. So I'm going to take my marker. And you won't see this because we'll have the ferrule on when we put this together. And then I take some sandpaper and rough up the edge. You can go a little bit past that line just because of the fact that you got the ferrule on there. We get it nice and scuffed up. So now you can put the ferrule on. And it's got a cone shape, so the smaller end goes down this way. So I go ahead and put it on, and then I put the head back on. Bang it into position. Now the ferrule is actually where it should be in position. Now this will move down and up, but once you get the actual epoxy on, and then you get the epoxy in here, the epoxy will leak out a little bit and actually will stop the actual ferrule from moving around. So let's go ahead and get the epoxy on. So go ahead and get some epoxy on an item that you don't really care about. Gosh, it's 1,000 degrees over here. Go ahead and get it mixed up. Now this stuff says it seals up, or it sets up in about 5 minutes, and it will cure in 10. So let's go ahead and start getting some in the head here. I'll make sure I get enough in there. Obviously, the more you put in here, the excess will squeeze out, and we'll use a paper towel to get it out, or to clean it up. So I just want to make sure I got enough in there. I'm sure I do. So now, you take your shaft and get it in there. I like to pound it on the ground. Make sure I get it in there, get it all good. All the way down. Then I can take my paper towel, clean off the excess. There we go. Ooh, pardon my sweating. It's really hot in my garage and it's about 90 degrees outside. But so now that we got that done, we're gonna let it set for about 10 minutes and let it cure. I'm gonna let it cure for a lot longer than that because I don't need to go ahead and play with it right now or go to the golf course. It's nighttime. But I'm gonna let it set overnight. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put a grip on it, a new grip on it, because it'll need an actual grip to play with. And also, one thing you need to know, well, what you'll find out is the ferrule is a little bit bigger than the actual club head where the shaft goes in, and so you'll need to take a little bit of sandpaper and kind of fine tune that down a little bit if it bothers you. But other than that, if you want to see a video that I've done 2 videos for regripping a golf club. I'll go ahead and put them up here or over here. I can't remember wherever it goes, but I'll put links up for both of them, and I'll put them in the description too. One's with air, and then one's with actual grip solvent, whichever method you want to use. So I'll post links of the shaft I used and the ferrule and actual epoxy that we used in this video, so you can check it out yourself. The ferrules are basically, I mean, there's quite a few different ones. They got taller ones, they got fatter ones, they got ones with little different color rings on them. You choose whatever. This is just a basic black one, which mostly is what we get. The shaft itself is a true temper, so you can check out all the line of true tempers they have just based off the link I provide down below. I will say, do this at your own risk. If you're not comfortable doing it, don't do it. I just wanted to do this real quick because I wanted to change the shaft out, and I'm going on vacation here, and I don't have time to drop it off at a shop. Dropping it off at a shop is probably about what, 15, 20 bucks to do. All the parts that I have here is probably more than that, but I'll list those in the description too if you want to check those out as well. But other than that, if you have any questions or comments, put them in the comments below. I'm sure you'll tell me I'm doing something wrong, which is great. I love hearing your comments and tell me what I can do to do a better job next time. If this is your first time and you enjoyed this video and you want to see videos like this, go ahead and be sure to subscribe to my channel. If you like the video and you learned something, hit the thumbs up button again, and I'll see you next time.